In response to this interview here, I would like to share some thoughts. This was between Tim Bronson, is asked by Sam Sperlin, who is a graduate student, if I understand right. First of all, I share my first listening notes as I discovered your interview to give you some feedback what my understanding of the situation is. Um, so let's see, never reach that. That meaning this graduate student, Sam, has a client who has a so-called unrealistic goal, and he makes a statement that she will never reach that goal. Though at this point we are not being informed what it is, so we take it at face value of his assessment. Nonetheless, this is a categorical statement that is a red flag in my vocabulary, since when can we take up this position that somebody will never do something? Throughout history, people who take that position often being proven wrong by those who are really determined to do something. Okay, but nonetheless, I'm not challenging it. It's just a red flag. Unreasonable, and later on I'm getting more details that it might be a borderline of a well, it's regarding to an eating issue, and later on we hear about that maybe it's belong to other professionals to deal with that, but I think I come to that later on in my notes. So holding herself to full-time specialist standards, holding herself to a full-time specialized standard. Oh, okay. Now here you're referring to my notes are kind of strange due to my ESL, but basically she is making references to other people on the internet. Sorry for the interruption here, but so basically she is bringing she's referencing people on the internet who made food their profession, and they are pretty much a specialist of certain school of thoughts and how they are achieving the kind of result that would be unreasonable for somebody to pursue with a part-time or very significantly reduced time and commitment than compared to those specialists. Okay, so website she referenced looking. She wants to look better, so if let's say there's a lady with 400 pounds wants to look like an 80-pound girl, well, even that is possible. So there is no reason why not. Of course, it can be very unreasonable for most. In any event, so these are my notes on that regard. Let's see, people she's admired, a long list of okay. So you pointing out that the people she's admiring actually had a long list of failures, and it is okay to fail, and perhaps this is part of your course of how you coaching a person, that not to be afraid of failures. That's a very good point. Acknowledgements of facts. Okay, here my notes are basically along the line that you recommending her to look at people with so-called better credentials. Now this I see a little bit of an issue, again a red flag in my book of truths, because while credentials are great, and obviously this is the field that you pursuing to validate the hard work that you put in your chosen field of expertise you are developing, and surely it has been a long-standing recognized way to do things. It does not equal to be the only way. So by you recommending people with credentials is great, but be aware of that not everybody looking at credentials with the same value as you do, and there are just as many, if not better, ways out there that goes the other way around. Okay, so that's a red flag in my books. Acknowledgement, fiction, charlatans. Okay, you now casting judgment on certain sources that she brings up that may or may not be valid. That's obviously depending on many different way of looking at things. Fiction, bizarre diets, evangelistic ways. Okay, so you are making an I am acknowledging that you spoken to those facts. Black and white. Okay, to have a gray. That's a good point. So helping her to recognize that not everything is black and white out there. Don't look at that things that way. Look more flexibly. Agreement. Okay, to be less than perfect. Giving permission to fail. Again, depending on a coaching style that may or may not be the preference of a particular coach, you are calling upon and using it. That's fine. Therapy or coaching, duty of care. We're hearing from Tim that commenting that yes, we have a responsibility for a client to pass it on to other professionals if we identify a need, and it would mean we'd have to step outside of our own boundaries of professional boundaries or self-imposed boundaries. Your response team was that you would give 2-3 sessions to find out what is the right thing to do here with this lady, and if you do come to a realization that it is really some kind of an eating disorder that requires a doctor care or other specialist, then you would recommend that. Of course, Sam was coming to the similar conclusions and basically giving her the option that look, if you look for medical care and you still want coaching, I'm more than happy to help, but you basically passing on the buck and saying that some of these responsibilities are not something you are prepared or able to, or to this matter of fact permitted to deal with. Okay, so this is what I get from the first listening of this interview, and I'm offering some feedback at this point on. So the current view of the situation, to paraphrase, client who may or may not have an eating disorder, can a life coach help, and if so, how? So that is the problem on hand that Sam called in with. The domain of human health is one of the most confusing territory of knowledge. This is my assessment of the current situation. A huge amount of new data is coming to the marketplace faster than anyone can keep up with it all. I worked for years in the late 2006, 7, 8, 9, those years with number of doctors in this field, and I really wanted to get a good handle on the topic of health. And I worked with food researcher to doctors, natural doctors, and what have you. And one conclusion I came to is that nobody has the absolute knowledge on this field, and it is just growing with such a huge speed that you will see specialists here and one school of thought here, another school of thought there. To find the right answer for the right person is really a huge task. So that's in itself a very challenging territory. That's what I'm trying to say here. Many artistic approach complicating the scientific approach. So there are many valid school of thought out there that is practiced through some kind of an art. Art meaning there is no scientific method behind it, but it works. So how people come to justify those and what explanations they give, you know, that really murky the water, but doesn't invalidate certain people applying certain solutions. It just complicates the situation for somebody who wants to get a clear view. Conflicting truth. Now I'm just learning about the life coach industry. I'm looking into it, and I have a feeling that the impression I'm getting is that life coach is like if they were to walk on eggshells, because a client cannot be told things. That's not how a life coach would operate. Yet there are times when a person has to be told what to do. So this is a truth itself, and this is a truth in itself. They are conflicting truths. Well, my book of truth says that the sweetest creation always happens in the paradoxical circumstances, and this is definitely qualify for one, isn't it? Well, let's progress into the in search of a better view of the situation. And I don't think I'm offering any solutions per se, but I'm making this vlog to provoke further thinking on this topic. Okay, so versus jumping right into finding a working solution for this client, have you explored all the different point of views of her current situation? So this is a very important question. If you think you did, what method have you applied to determine her CVS or current view of the situation? I would like to know that. Next question. Would you agree that her CVS can have multidimensional dynamics to it with roots in the domains of spirituality, emotion, and when we're talking about emotion, in the biological meaning of the word, as well as the philosophical meaning of the word. And I know that emotion is now dissected in different ways, in different scientific approaches, but just to stick with these two primary different meaning of the word, the topic of emotion is a huge one. How about psychosomatic dynamics, the domain of psychosomatics, the mental part of it, and of course the physical reality. So if this is something that you haven't fully explored or you don't know how, maybe would be a valid way to give more thoughts to it. And if you think you did and willing to share more of the details on your method, I would love to hear from you. I hope this was some help. Thank you.